Open Your Eyes is brought to you by the Belize Bank. Our country, your bank.
Good morning and welcome to Open Your Eyes.
Start your morning right.
I'm Marlene Cuellar.
And I am John Palacio.
And thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you. It is something. It's a beautiful Wednesday out, the 26th day of January 2022, Mar. My goodness.
Right.
I feel good saying 2022.
Hump day.
Yeah, it is indeed. The weather outside, it's hot. That much I could tell you. You could see it here. I mean, I don't like this every day, but you know, it's hot out. It's hot out. Speaking of hot out, Mar, as per usual, the first thing we do in the morning time is that we actually break down to you what's hot in the morning time from last night's news. And there's so many things that we could break down.
Yeah.
I mean, there were a flurry of stories. You don't even know which one to pick.
Well, I know. I mean, I think the buzz right now, that there's a lot going on in the country. And this morning I woke up and I said, if I could be a fly on the wall, which one of the meetings would I want to be in at this time? But let's start on the biggest scale for, I believe, looking at the meeting that is supposed to take place with the Joint Unions negotiating team and government. Of course, we know that when government proposed the wage cut, this was and the unions went on strike subsequently because they were refusing such. A part of the negotiation was that they committed to be able to review their finances and the progress of how government was spending, saving, and earning money to see and to assess it on a periodic basis.
Yes.
Now, this meeting has been rescheduled a few times.
At least 3 times.
And it is supposed to take place today.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is supposed to take place today, indeed. At this point, I wouldn't want to say there are a lot of prickles out there for the fact that the meeting have been scheduled a few times, but the president of the BNTU went out on a limb to say she hopes that today will be the day that this meeting takes place. Now, definitely we'll be bringing to you the outcome in later on's newscast, but they're remaining
we'll see if they let any information out. That's what I'm telling you. I
out,
woke up and I said, which wall do I want to be on if I was a fly? Because that's going to be really interesting. And we do have to put it in context. When the Prime Minister was here last week, one of the things that he did say was that he understood that the public officers desperately want back their 10%. And if the economy is performing well enough, he's willing, or he said that there is a possibility of returning that 10% before the agreed upon 3 years.
Well,
and I know, instantaneously I got messages afterwards saying, did he really say that? Does that mean we're getting it back? I don't have that answer, and I imagine that's part of the answers that the joint unions will be looking for today.
I think that would be one of the ultimate that they'll be looking forward to today as well. But at the same time, what the unions are asking for, we need to check those books. We need to see exactly where we are financially to see if we are able to garner back this 10% that was taken from us. It was, it was an everybody's business type of thing because the unions, actually public servants, took that 10% cut. And that was a lot for them, at least, especially for their household, and to see how life is at this particular point, especially with what you've got at home to spend or what you've garnered throughout the month so you could, spend and whatnot. So they want to see the books.
And let's be fair. I think that we all have, or many people across the country took pay cuts during the time of COVID. And it is difficult. It depends on your individual financial situation, but we know with the poverty rates that we have in this country and the cost of living, very often there's barely even 10% of your salary left
Yeah.
after you've taken out all your
All the bills and-
obligations.
yes.
So that definitely puts people in a bind, especially when it's over a prolonged period. And I go back to that conversation we had with Professor Williams when he was talking to us about budgeting. And he said, if you're looking at a 10% cut and a 5% inflation rate, that's a pretty big setback for people.
Indeed.
So I'm sure that's high on the priority list of the issues to be discussed in that meeting today.
Well, we're going to
As we said, it's scheduled for today.
For today.
Whether it will happen, we're going to keep you posted.
There are about 2 or 3 occasions, or 2 occasions where that meeting was scheduled for a particular day but had to be pushed back. So we're going to see what will eventually will be coming out of that, of course, bringing that to you in our 6 o'clock news report. But also, that's one of the meetings that we were talking about. And the second one is actually that the United Democratic Party, they'll be holding a meeting as well.
Yeah.
So tell us,
right.
what should be expected out of that?
There's what's taking place that impacts more people, but there's what's capturing people's attention, and this is definitely
the attention grabber.
Drama
Yes,
that has unfolded around this has definitely captured everyone's attention. Yesterday, officially, it was reported 3 things that are important. One was that Honorable Tracy Panton officially announced that she is open and will be contesting for leadership of the party, as did Honorable Shine Barrow. And so we have 2 candidates. Hugo Pat also said that he is not interested in the leadership post. So we are, Faber, of course, as an elected representative, is the one who just resigned. And I think the best guess from everyone is that Honorable Denise Barrow is not interested in the post. So we got 2 contenders in the race at this point. And the UDP chairman put forward some real interesting information yesterday, which is that there's been no resignation letter.
No resignation letter.
There's been an announcement of a resignation from 2 posts. And to be fair, Honorable Faber did say that it's going to happen, that it becomes effective the 31st, but you can send a letter saying the same thing, that I resign, but it becomes effective on that day. But there's been no official notice sent to the Secretariat of the UDP.
The chairman said if it was him in that situation, he would have sent his letter a long time ago, saying that, I'm serious about the resignation. He also went out on a limb again to say, Marlene, that the current leader of the opposition could actually rescind and say, hey, I don't want to do it. I went to my peers and we had a conversation, and I feel that I am the strongest and best to lead. So there's so many things to eventually unfold out of this situation. Like you mentioned, Marlene, that meeting should be held today. Again, we'll be having information for you in our newscast. But what is the current situation there? And we don't hear on Channel 5, we don't normally swirl around with rumors, but the rumor is that there might just be a 3rd person throwing their hats in this barrel to eventually emerge as leader. So we're going to see what the situation is going to be. We're going to see how it unfolds. We'll be breaking that down for you as well. Speaking of Honorable Tracy Tega Panton, we should be joined by her a little later on this morning.
Yes, she will be joining us today
to have that conversation.
To talk about what is her plan, why she's putting herself forward for leadership. And I'm really looking forward to the conversation. One of the things that we cannot miss in saying is that this is a historic move, that a female politician is putting themselves forward to lead a mass party.
Indeed.
That's a big deal. And so we're going to have that as a part of the conversation as well.
Indeed.
And but going back to I think the internal committee for the UDP, they need to figure out their way forward, and they're in a really uncomfortable spot.
situation.
Because the number one question I think you have after hearing what Chairman Parafit said, or Senator Parafit, is why? Why not send in your resignation? What would be the reason? Typically, anybody who resigns, the notification comes with the letter. It's just what's done. You don't play your hand and then, afterwards. Typically, it comes with formal notice. So the question then is, why hasn't it been done? And are there conditions that come with this resignation, or perhaps exploring options as to whether or not there can be some sort of resumption of confidence in him as leader? But we're going to see.
We're going to see.
What did they say? It's a lifetime in politics.
It's a lifetime
between now and the 31st.
Indeed, the chairman said that as well. You know, that's a lifetime right there within those 4 to 5 days that seems to be playing out, or seems to be a long 4 to 5 days within that camp. But nonetheless, like you mentioned, you know, sure.
And I think coming back to it, though, I think that the key part here is that. You know, while we see it as a political party at this time, they are or formal opposition. And I keep on saying it time and time again, the opposition plays a crucial role in democracy.
Indeed.
There are already very few representatives, and so they need to be able to be strong for the country to have some level of accountability. I know we often say, well, it's just the opposition they're going to impose, but that's important. Sometimes it's important that they point out what's taking place, or where errors may be being made. Thank you. Wow. I need more coffee.
You do.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, I'm so glad that you point that out, because a lot of people might not see the opposition, nor any party for that matter, in terms of reckoned by the Constitution as the opposition, as a very important part of democracy. You know, checks and balances, all these things are being done by an opposition party, especially well reckoned by the Constitution. And that's just number 2. But I don't want to go out on a limb to chit-chat a little about number 3. I think one of the hot things, and I think this is of national importance to us, and we're talking about the Port of Belize. Now, this is very important. There will be a ripple effect. There will be, because there are ships out there ready to be unloaded, and of course there are products from Belize that needs to be put on a ship and then of course exported. But we're not seeing it. We're not seeing that at this point. And there will be a ripple effect from that. The CWU, they've got some strong backing with respect to the Belize National Teachers Union, and of course the PSU. So there are a lot of people who are actually backing up the CWU, and we need to see what will be eventually playing out in this situation as well.
No, and I think for me, going to the Chamber's letter about, and yesterday, our News 5 reporter Paul Lopez went out and spoke to some of the businesses to be able to hear directly from them how they're being impacted. And the message is the same. And if it's right within where we have heard the Chamber speaking of, shipping costs have gone up over the course of the pandemic.
Yes.
There's challenge in sourcing some materials. And then when you add this on top, it is very concerning as to what it will do in terms of costs of getting your goods into the country, and who pays for it?
Yeah.
Us.
The people.
Yeah.
Indeed. So like I mentioned, it's a ripple effect that will eventually be bestowed upon the people. And it is something that needs to be resolved as soon as possible. We hope that at some point or the other, GOB could eventually step in and try to rectify the situation that's going on there at the Port of Belize. But again, that's the story we're actually staying on top of to bring that to you in our newscast.
Well, the unions seem to be very firm on their position, but I do think that one of the things that the question keeps on being asked, they are supposed to be deemed as essential service. So what happens there? And also how critical it is for them both to come to the table to be able to hammer out a resolution to this, because the implications go beyond just the CWU and the Port of Belize.
You're totally right. It goes beyond that, and we need to get these things dealt with, and as quick as possible. This is as important as what we're seeing with the health part of our country with respect to the coronavirus. Everybody, it affects everybody, and so for that reason, we really need to get it rectified as soon as possible.
And speaking of which, there's so much happening yesterday that I don't know how many people noticed, but we had another day of over 1,000 cases detected. It's a bit exhausting.
That's
a
24-hour period.
Yeah, they dipped, and that's why usually when they present their data, they do like the 7-day average, because there's a fluctuation day to day anyway. But when we spoke with Dr. Russell Manzanero on Monday, he talked about us being in the peak. And so basically we'd be seeing a high number of cases as starting as of the end of last week. So, but when I hear that, I think to myself, okay, so that means the total number of active cases are at their highest right now. So you have to be even more careful because it means there are a lot of people who are positive at this time.
Indeed. But I've got to go back to that testing situation, Marlene. I overheard a conversation yesterday whereby somebody within a specific household knows for a fact that they have contracted the virus, but they said, you know what, why go out to test if I know that I've got it? So we know that these numbers are reflecting over 1,000 cases, Marlene. But why do you say there are a lot of people infected at this point, especially over these 24 hours? I think 2 or 3 times that. And the numbers should be reflecting, but people aren't going out to get tested, especially if they feel that they've contracted the virus. Why go test if I get a virus? I know that I feel it, so why go test?
Viewers, by all means, tell us why, because I've really found that interesting when I hear people say, yeah, I have the symptoms, but I don't think I have to go test. And I have to go test. I do question why. I don't understand it. I test as soon as I know I have exposure, even though you have to wait the 3 days. I still wait the 3 days and then I test again. But I do think that and it's not about being registered or having people know, but it's also, you get prescribed medication to be able to help you with the symptoms that you may develop.
Indeed.
It is also helpful in being able to get some sort of education as to what to do to take care of yourself. I don't think people know how important it is to hydrate when you have COVID.
Yeah.
Because the fever and sometimes all the other symptoms that you're having can really dehydrate your body.
Yeah.
So they're like little things that they can tell you when you test positive of how to take care of yourself properly so that you don't end up with a more severe form of COVID and, in the hospital or worse.
That's the right reason, Marlene, to go out and get tested so you know how to battle it.
Yeah.
Because I've been there, and I could tell you that when you go to a testing site and you test positive, there is a doctor right there to hand you your medication, hand you your medical form or your social security form to say, hey, this person has tested positive. At this particular point, it makes no sense to be guessing. Know your status, because that could help you get over the situation as quick as possible.
And on the broader sense, it helps to reduce the spread. Because if I convince myself that I don't have COVID, I'm not going to test, and maybe I do get a mild case. Maybe I get a fever and chills one night or stuffy nose one day. The next day I feel fine and I say, oh, it's not that. It's just mild now. I'm going to continue moving around. And I may potentially spread it to others if they're not wearing their mask and we're not keeping distance.
Yeah.
And I always say the same thing. You never know who you come in contact with, what their risks are, or who they're going to go home to, and what persons who may be vulnerable at home will have as well.
Indeed. Well said, Mar, because that is the truth, and for that reason, we need to continue with our testing throughout the country. And the Ministry of Health and Wellness have set up in every nook and cranny of this country so you could go on out to test. And more so, go get vaccinated. There are vaccination sites everywhere. They're actually going to houses now. They've been going to businesses. They've been going to the villages because it is very important. As a matter of fact, they've been setting out downtown. They've been setting up so folks could get vaccinated, like literally, really. So we know how hard our frontline workers are working for us to be safe within this pandemic.
All right. And with that, we got to get moving into our show. We are going to be talking a bit about Omicron. Of course, the World Health Organization has made some really interesting notes as well. They're saying, this is not the end of the pandemic. Don't get fooled. And we're going to have Dr. Marvin Manzanero coming in to tell us a bit more about what the science is saying. But we got to get into some motivation for today. And that means it's time for Eye Opener. And our Eye Opener, taken from dailyom.com, goes like this. Numbing yourself prevents you from confronting your issues and keeps you from ever finding resolution or peace. We are born equipped to experience a complex array of diverse emotions. Many of us, however, are uncomfortable confronting our most powerful emotions. We may shy away from delight, and despair, and deny life's colors by retreating into a world of monotone gray. We may numb ourselves to what we are truly feeling. It's easier to suppress our emotions than to deal with them. So we may momentarily turn to pleasures such as alcohol, food, sugar, shopping, and too much television. We may even numb our hearts. Examining the feelings that drive you to numb yourself can help you understand what is triggering your desire to emotionally fade out. Traumas and pain, long hidden, will emerge to the forefront of your consciousness and reveal themselves so that you can heal them. You'll discover a deeper you, a self that is comfortable experiencing and working through intense emotions with courage and grace.
You know, I hope the last sentence sticks. I really and truly hope so. Because it says a lot that you'll discover a deeper you. And this is after you've dealt with these things that plagues your mind. Now, this is, I read this over a few times this morning, yesterday evening and this morning. And I said, this sounds like us men. That we could eventually, we try our best to suppress our emotions. And at the same time, when we suppress our emotions, we're forgetting that it actually builds other things. And one of those things is anger, anguish, hostility. And so because we feel that we're not supposed to be in that area, and we say, emotions are for a woman, but that's not true. Emotions is a natural part of you. It's a natural part of your mind. Your body will go through it. Your mind will go through it. But it also says that what you need to do is to put it into the forefront, deal with it mentally. And as long as you are able to, you'll discover a deeper you, a self that is comfortable experiencing and working through intense emotions with courage and grace. Now imagine you do that. Just to say.
I totally concur. I do think I'll just leave with the lesson that I have been learning, which is feel the feelings. Allow yourself to feel the feelings.
Feel the feeling.
You can't shy away from tough emotions. You can't shy away from good emotions.
These things happen.
Allow yourself to feel the feelings.
Indeed.
All right, but we got to get moving into our weather for today to find out what we can expect. And we have Derek Redun on the line. Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
And how are you today, sir?
I'm doing pretty good, thank you.
All right, sounds like good weather coming across the country. Let's jump on into it. The general situation. Dee, tell us, what should we expect?
Okay, yesterday was very dry, last night was dry, and we're expecting conditions to become slightly moist today. So a few showers will pop up here, some places.
All right, so that means that we should be having a great 24-hour forecast. Tell us about that.
Okay, the forecast for today, sunny skies with cloudy spells. Tonight, partly cloudy. A few showers will affect mainly the inland areas of the country today, this afternoon that is, and then they come isolated tonight.
All right. And the winds?
From the east, light at 5 to 15 knots, and the sea state choppy.
Sounds good. I like that. I feel like I'm in an airplane and they're giving me about good weather. Let's talk about these temperatures. What should we expect? Will it be hot?
Okay, similar to yesterday, maybe a little warmer. 85 along the coast, 90 inland, 75 up in the mountains.
All right, and for tonight?
75 along the coast, 68 inland, and 64 up in the mountains.
All right, sounding good. So let's get on into our extended forecast. What should we expect there?
Okay, for tomorrow then, a little more moisture comes into the area, and we can expect a few showers, but mostly over northern districts during the day and along the coast at night.
You've told us. We've been warned. Now we know exactly what to expect. Mr. Redun, thank you so very much for that.
That's right.
You're welcome.
All right.
Have a great day. Bye.
Bye-bye. Okay.
All right, now we know exactly what to expect, Mar. Slight moisture setting in eventually. We had 2 hot days and some moisture coming up.
That's right. But we got to get moving into our show. And this morning, we are going to be getting an update on what the science is saying about the COVID-19 pandemic at this time. A lot of us are feeling a bit comfortable. We feel like this is the end, but is it? We're going to have Dr. Marvin Manzanero joining us this morning. He's been reviewing the data to be able to tell us the latest in the first part of our show.
All right, so we'll be looking forward to that conversation. And thereafter, in the second segment for this morning, This one is going to be a great one as well. It's going to be a one-on-one with the first female politician aspirant to lead the UDP, Tracy Panton. The Honorable Tracy Panton will be joining us on the couch to have that conversation about her aspirations.
And then we're closing off with a conversation about big anniversary. Good friends at Grace Kennedy Belize. They're celebrating their 40th anniversary in Belize and 100th anniversary for the Grace Kennedy Group. So we're going to find out how they're celebrating and how you can join in on the fun in the final part of our show. So we're going to go ahead and take that break.
Just before we do, just before we take that break,
we've
got a birthday shout out, so why not do that, huh? We've got to say a big, big, big happy birthday to none other than Ernestina Renault. Loving that lipstick. That hair. My goodness, looking great. Happy birthday to you from your entire family with lots of love. Of course, from all of us here at Channel 5 as well, and all of us right here on Open Your Eyes. Enjoy your day. We're going to take the break. When we come back, we'll dive directly into the conversation. Stay with us. We'll be back.
We have been a partner with Smart for over 10 plus years. We have a full Smart plan we use as our major driver for our business. We have a service that rolls over in that if you call one and it is busy, it rolls over to the next line. So once you call us, you can get us at any time. Before we got this Smart service, we were paying upwards of nearly $2,000 in phone bills. Since we've had our Smart service, we pay an average of about $600. So we've had tremendous saving, more than 50%. For the businesses, if you want to save money, switch to Smart because it is far more cost effective and the service is excellent.
Smart continues to be innovative in bringing new technology and meaningful savings during these challenging times to businesses across Belize. Sign up for our VoIP technology or broadband packages and save more.
Your life just got a lot less complicated with Belize Bank Contactless MasterCard Debit Card. Introducing our Standard Debit and MasterCard Platinum Debit Cards. Now you can make purchases anywhere MasterCard is accepted with one tap, pay and go. Your contactless card never has to leave your hands, especially in these times. And your card is embedded with multiple layers of security. Platinum card holders get to enjoy extra benefits like price protection, purchase protection, trip inconvenience, and luggage protection, just to name a few. Start enjoying a cashless lifestyle today with the Belize Bank.
Child Development Foundation, or CDF as we are popularly known, has been partnering with Social Security Board since 2015. Social Security Board supports our child protection initiatives. They support us to build capacity for teachers and parents to identify the indicators of abuse. In particular, they support our counseling center so that we can provide trauma-focused counseling therapy to children who have been abused. Social Security has also supported our prevention program, the Rise Girls program, to help us to equip young women who are in primary and secondary school to understand more about adolescent development and also to build good self-esteem and to build safe social networks.
Over the past 6 years, we have established a partnership with the Social Security Board. It has assisted us in addressing some of their social welfare needs and health care needs of our older persons, specifically in Belize City, San Ignacio, and Belmopan. We have had the opportunity to do home visits with our geriatrician and physiotherapists. We distribute meals to them. We also have that opportunity to interact with them, to observe them. There are needs that may be identified. If we can address those, we do so.
Social Security has been one of our biggest donors throughout the years, and The services that they provide to us is basically financial, and it helps with a lot of things here at the center, like bills and groceries. The center is a drop-in center for the mentally ill, elderly, homeless, deportees. They come here, they take a shower, they get their breakfast, they get their lunch, and they also do recreational stuff here at the center. They can watch television, they listen to music, they play games, and they just, interact with each other, because here it's like a family.
If you're looking for low-cost television advertising, have we got a deal for you? Advertise on Channel 5's Daily Classifieds. Channel 5's Daily Classifieds is one of the most effective methods for introducing yourself and your business to the community. Use our Daily Classifieds to recruit employees, promote specials, promote your products or services, promote a business opportunity, increase traffic to your website, and advertise items you have for sale. Let us help you save valuable time and money. Call us today at 223-0146 or visit us at our offices on Pony Drive to discuss how we can help your business grow affordably. Channel 5's Daily Classifieds. Advertise today.
Today's COVID update is brought to you by Fulltech Systems, your technology center, where you'll come for the price but stay for the service.
And welcome back to Open Your Eyes. We're moving now into our first segment, and this one is actually our COVID update courtesy of Fulltech Systems. In to talk to us is actually Dr. Marvin Manzanero. It's so nice to see him after a while. And this conversation is actually about sharing the latest info on Omicron variant. And is there, this is one of the big questions. We're not throwing that out to you as yet, Doc. But, the questions actually surround, is there other variants out there? Dr. Marvin Manzanero, good morning and welcome, sir.
Hi, good morning, John. Good morning, Marlene. Unfortunately, the science continues to evolve. We are now into more than 2 years into a pandemic, and where there seems to be no end in sight. But I think what we will have to hopefully be able to come to terms with is how you balance an evolving virus with our daily livelihoods. And I can't say into our normal way of living. I think it's hoping that you can establish new norms and take it on from there.
At the start of the pandemic, Doc, it was said, and this was late 2019, early 2020, that this pandemic should be finished by at least 2022, summer 2022. Are we seeing that in sight?
Unfortunately, no. I think we have come to terms that it is going to be what we are labeling as an endemic virus. Endemic simply means that it's a virus that is here to stay, that is going to become part of other viruses that are infecting persons on a routine basis, just like you have other flu viruses, like when we had the swine flu, the avian flu, and then those got labeled into H1N1 and all these other types of influenza. I think that is the anticipation. Unfortunately, with COVID-19, it's been a learning process almost on a daily basis. You have to be on the lookout for what science is going to tell you. And of course, there's so much more technology and scientific advancements that allow you to be able to track a virus more routinely. And also because of social media, the information that is routinely being generated is shared much more widely. So that's why it seems to always be in the spotlight. So it's kind of like evolving with technology, it's evolving with globalization.
Sorry, yeah. I wanted to just get your feedback on something. One of the things that has happened is that Omicron has come around, spreads really rapidly, and so far, luckily, we're not seeing as the amount of people in the hospital as compared to the large number of positives that are being detected. People are still losing their lives to COVID-19, but it's not, the number of positives is not equating to the severity. It has somehow allowed people to believe, one, that this may actually be the end of the pandemic. And the World Health Organization has been kind of sounding the alarm to say we're not there yet. Can you explain to us why?
Well, you see, even before we get to the why it isn't there, perhaps I know that the term that was widely thrown out is the term mild to describe it. And I think that's a wrong terminology. And I think that the term that perhaps suits it a little bit more is milder, but not mild. And the reason is because just because you're having so many cases and your vaccination rates are not high across the globe, is what drives the statement now to indicate that this is not the end, because it is anticipated that the virus will continue to evolve. So any new variant that comes along will have to be more contagious or infectious than Omicron, because in order for it to take any viability, for it to continue to spread on, it will have to be much more infectious than Omicron, or else Omicron, you see, like when you had the Delta variant that seemed to spread much more quickly than the previous variants that were there. Omicron came along, is much more infectious or much more contagious than the Delta variant. So whatever other variant comes around will have to be much more infectious. And that's the reason why you can't speak of a pandemic that its end is in sight. The two things that can potentially happen with a new strain, and which you hope don't happen, is that it is not much more deadly than Omicron is, and that it doesn't evade whatever successes have been had with the vaccines that are currently in circulation. So you can anticipate that you're going to have a much more infectious strain. We are going to hope that it is not more deadly and that it isn't evading vaccines that are in circulation.
Mm-hmm. And the other option is, so what I hear from you is that what happens next is important. When there is another variant, and we were talking very briefly of the new variant detected recently, when there is another variant, it's to hope that it's not one that affects people more severely and causes more death. It's to hope that it's, like we've seen with Omicron, that it has less severe symptoms. But we have no guarantees with that, do we?
Yeah, no guarantee, and the hope would be that it just disappears, right? Because even though it can happen, but you see the issue is when you look at the numbers that seem to be overwhelming. Mm-hmm. I mean, just last week alone, there were 21 million cases of Omicron globally in 1 week, and that's a new record since the pandemic started. But when you think about it, it's the numbers are just so wide that I don't know that it will happen. I think every time it is spreading at those rates, you're just giving it more chance for a newer strain to come along. And as you have said, there is on the horizon already newer strains of Omicron starting to appear.
Yeah.
And that's why it can be mild, because when you have 21 million people sick, it can overwhelm health systems rather quickly. Because, I mean, if you do simple math, let's say you had 100, let's say Delta was 10 times more lethal, and this is just raw math so that we can get a grasp of how serious it can be. If with Delta, for example, you have 10% of people winding up being in a hospital, that means that out of 100 cases, 10 were in the hospital. With Omicron, let's say it's 1% hospitalization rates, but you have 1,000 cases, it's the same amount of people that will wind up being in hospital, which is why it can overwhelm the health system.
Yeah. And going back to the new variants that may come up, this is essentially the ideal situation for variants to form. Because I know you've told us, all health officials have said, the more people who have the virus, the more chances it does have to mutate.
And you have to add the uneven vaccination rates into the mix, because that also can allow for more strains to develop. Understand also that in terms of strains, for example, Omicron, what it seems to do is it has learned how to evade immunity. So you can become, and that's why it's not, the term mild makes me a little bit uncomfortable, because you can get it more than one. I mean, recall that in the initial variants, you had people saying 6 to 9 months of natural immunity is what it seems to give you. But now we are noticing that people had COVID in November, early December last year. And I just met a colleague who recovered during the first week of December and tested positive on Monday.
Wow.
So asymptomatic, it's not just, you can't, it is a reinfection, then you can't say it is residual from what happened.
Yeah.
Understand that variants are circulating. I recall that in our wave that we had in November, December of 2020, the Mexican group of infectology had detected that they had their own variant that they felt drove their second wave. That strain of the virus, remember, it wasn't being studied that much, never got classified into a variant of interest or variant of concern, but that is the one that caused a good amount of deaths in Mexico. And our epidemiological link for that wave was with the northern districts. And so I felt that whatever caused all those deaths in Mexico in the second wave of towards the end of 2020 is what drove that wave here in Belize. But again, that strain was never classified. So
we weren't
strains
sequencing at that time, so we wouldn't.
So strains pop up everywhere, but it's how quickly they are able to evolve contingent on population, on how that population interacts. But as you said, there is another one out there now.
Let's talk about the mutation of these viruses, Doc. Do they get more lethal as they continue to mutate, or do they lose a little bit of their power? How does that work?
They may not necessarily become more lethal, because the virus, what the virus tries to do is establish what we would call in biology a symbiotic relationship. Tries to find a mechanism where it can continue to survive in this case the human species, but SARS-CoV-2 can be found in other species as well. So it is not convenient, if you can use that term so people can understand, perhaps, for the virus to become more lethal, because if it kills its host, then it is killing itself then. So what viruses try to do is try to establish a relationship where they are able to continue to infect others, so that they are able to find hosts where they can thrive. So it isn't, so it can make a mistake, yes, make a mistake in two senses. Make a mistake and so that it's not that viable and it kind of loses itself in the biology and disappears. Or make a mistake so that it becomes so lethal that it kills more people, and then you don't have a host where it can thrive. So the virus will try to find a way where it can balance itself and just continue to propagate itself.
Now, one of the things that we have heard about is that perhaps, and I want to get your opinion here. We had one medical professional who had spoken about this as a possibility, that given the sharp increase in cases of persons who have now gotten COVID, that this may be a chance for us to get natural herd immunity. What's your thought on that?
I think when you review the science, herd immunity is out of the picture with Omicron, precisely because you're getting reinfected. And so the number of, if you start looking around that data, even for the Belize context, you're going to find that people who have had COVID are still getting COVID. Again, you have had people who have been vaccinated and who have had COVID are getting COVID again. And you may be asymptomatic, but it doesn't mean it has disappeared. I mean, in my case, for example, I've had COVID and I've had 2 vaccines, booster due next week. I feel every time I hear somebody has COVID and that my throat starts to itch. So I am conscious of the fact that I can be having COVID again, and that I can be perhaps an asymptomatic carrier and just passing it on to others. I don't know that the word herd immunity would, given how the virus has behaved, is going to take us anywhere.
Good. Thank you for giving us your thoughts on that. Now, I want to ask something else, because this particular wave, we're at a disadvantage that we haven't been before, which is we are facing our spike just about the same time as everyone else in the world. And before, we were a few weeks delayed, sometimes a few months delayed.
Yeah.
So we had some indicators as to what to expect. Things, for example, like, can you get the Omicron variant more than once? I don't know if that data is available yet, because the US, for example, is just coming down from their peak, and other countries as well. What are your thoughts on that? What do we know about the end and the end of the Omicron wave?
Yeah, that's an interesting question, because you are right. In other variants, you had a up to 12-week delay. So whatever, it's like a tsunami alert, if you will, that you are now told, you know what's going to come. Now it's like you don't know what's happening. You're almost getting it in real time, and so it doesn't allow you to have that surveillance data from other countries. I think it is difficult when you look at the data from other countries, because there is an advantage in that other countries started their wave before. Mm-hmm. And so you will note that the UK, for example, has decided to kind of scale down their public health measures because they feel that they have peaked and their numbers have started to come down. But just the data from the US this morning is saying that they don't anticipate that peak, even though there had been suggestions, and I think even their lead public health person, Dr. Fauci, had indicated that they felt that by February, that would kind of be the end of the epidemic for them this time around. But it doesn't seem to necessarily be so. When you look also at the Mexican data, that some days in between, one day of every week for the last 3 weeks, they have had a break in terms of their number of new daily infections. Mm-hmm. So even though it tends to be peaking, it starts to decrease, and then you have a day that it goes up again. I also don't know how people are now classifying reinfections, because the waves have been just so heavily advancing that you don't, or breakthrough infections. I don't know that there's a specific classification now, especially in countries like the US, where you have now the ability to do your at-home tests, and I don't know that those are necessarily reported. And even in Belize, I've had a family of mine, a close family of mine, that where the 3 out of 4 adults that live in a home tested, and the 4th adult had symptoms, did not get tested. 2 children in the household also had symptoms and did not get tested. So the numbers might be a little bit more higher than what we have.
Yeah.
So, Doc,
do you think that I know that contact tracing is important, but when you have a spread like this, is it worth the resources to be doing contact tracing?
Yeah.
No, it's as much as proactive a measure as you may want to take, it's going to overwhelm your health system. So I think you just have to concentrate more on the public health measures, on the prevention, and trying to look at morbidity and mortality associated with it.
Doc, we're so hung up on Omicron. It has been in the news like wildfire, and I think that a lot of people have put now behind their mind of other variants. Do you feel, or do you know, or do you think that the other variants are actually still circulating within Belize?
Yeah, they can still be here. Recall that there's a Delta Plus also that is very similar to the Delta, but has minor mutations from that one. I was reviewing the data from the Caribbean region, and interestingly, even though they have a spike, like most other countries have, they are sequencing being done for mostly Eastern Caribbean countries. Doesn't have Omicron as the prevalent strain. They still have Delta and Delta Plus as whatever they're identifying. So That's an interesting trend to note, but I do believe we still have the other strains in Belize.
So let me press you. You know, Doc, I appreciate you bringing us what the science is saying and what's happening around the world, because we do have a lot of questions about COVID, and it's tough to keep up with all the information. As we started off, one of the first things we were chatting about during the break is that there is already the detection of a new variant of COVID-19. It's called the variant of interest at this point, and I think you referred to it as the stealth Omicron. Tell us a bit more about that, and how concerned should we be?
Yeah, the Omicron strain, that is the one that everybody's talking about, is classified as a BA 1. They have their little
yeah, it's too
codes.
technical for
Omicron
us.
is the term that's used for so that everybody can be on the same page. If
Yeah.
you will. But there is a newer strain. It's being labeled loosely as a BA2. I don't think it's been classified as any variant of interest, but it is being followed. One country has already reported that up to 60% of their samples is by this newer strain of Omicron, the BA2, and that's Denmark.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't seem to have a major difference in terms of the viral strain, but the reason why it's being called stealth Omicron and that's in parentheses is because it seems that this newer strain is making it a little bit more difficult to be able to identify on routine PCR testing. And that's also something that's followed or was being followed when Omicron came into the scene. Is it going to be more lethal? Is it going to cause more hospitalization? And also, are you going to be able to detect it through the routine tests that we have? And that's one of the first things that's analyzed.
So let me understand it properly. The concern with this stealth Omicron, this new variant detected in Europe, is that the PCR test is not recognizing the positive, is not detecting it?
Wow.
The science is saying that it's a little bit more difficult to detect it using the routine PCRs that are being used.
Interesting.
And that's the reason why it's been labeled as stealth, because it would have the ability then to just creep up on you. And let's say you're doing PCR testing and perhaps are not detecting it, it doesn't mean you don't have it.
Yeah.
Wow. And that's one of the things that Omicron really shaked up for us here too, because the insistence now on being able to wait for the days after exposure to test or retest is one that we keep on reminding people. We hear it all around because people are getting symptoms 6, 7, 8. I know of some who've gotten symptoms almost 2 weeks after their exposure to the positive person. Why is that happening? What's the difference that allows for this to happen?
Recall that from the beginning, it had been said 2 to 14 days after exposure. For example, in my particular case, I think my significant exposure and when I developed the first symptom was at 12 days after I was significantly exposed within a hospital setting.
Mm-hmm.
So every person is going to be different. With Omicron, the period in which you can infect others seems to have been decreased, right? So that the majority of people were developing symptoms within 3 to 7 days after being exposed. But it can be that you can, at day 14 after being significantly exposed, that's when you start developing symptoms. And it can also be that you're getting what I would label loosely as a multiple exposures, right? Let's say in day 1, 2, 3, you got exposed with different persons because you have different cases. So eventually you have that measure.
So I'm looking at one positive person, maybe not knowing that I come in contact with a asymptomatic
person,
or an untested person at that point. Interesting. Now let's talk about contagion though, because I know persons who 10 days after testing positive are still testing positive.
Yeah.
Can they still spread the virus?
Well, it depends on what what kind of test you are using to detect the virus. Recall that if you have been positive, you can still be testing with a PCR test.
This case I'm talking about was rapid. It was a rapid 10 days later, still positive.
Then they more than likely that probably have a high viral load in the upper airway. Recall also that with Omicron, and the reason why there's a difference between Delta and the other strains is because Omicron was or is simply reproducing itself more in the upper airways, in the throat, nasal passages, and that's why most of the symptoms are in the upper airways. You know, the sore throat, the stuffiness, more like the regular flu. But because it's there and the concentrations are higher there, it's more easier for it to spread, as opposed to Delta and the other strains that were replicating more or had the ability to reproduce themselves in the lower airways, which is why you had more lung infection. But it being lower in your lungs, for example, is not going to be so easy for it to spread. So that's also the dynamics of why one is different than the other. So it could be that it's staying in your upper airway for a longer period, and that's why you're testing positive with a via rapid test. If that is still the case, you are more than likely still going to be infectious.
Okay.
We do have some questions that we've been receiving online, and the first one of those questions says here, if someone still tested positive after the 10 days quarantine, are they safe? Okay, so we just did that one. It says here, does Belize have the technology to identify variants?
Yes, I understand it. They're doing sequencing. I will not be able to tell you what kind of methodology is being used in terms of, because for sure they are not going to be testing every sample, but there are methodologies in terms of what percentage from where and which days of the week the samples are being done. There would be a process for that.
Okay. Yeah. It also says here, how long will it take for this wave to go down?
I think it's difficult to predict. I had been reviewing the data that is routinely published. I know that in December, I had, in my own estimates, said that the week of January 17th would be when we will start having a particular surge. And I think it's going in that trend. I think for the last 2 days, the two reports are the highest number reported so far. It's very dynamic because it's still going to rely on the public health measures that we know to determine whether you can make a dent in that wave.
I want to ask one more question in terms of the effects of this. It's still COVID, this new variant of COVID. Long-term COVID is expected to be the new challenge in the future. I'm trying to remember. I think you had the Alpha variant, right? And you had a long time to recover. There are persons who've had Delta who still have residual damage. Even persons who had mild infections have residual problems. And I've read, things like mental health changes, battling depression, because it's a systemic disease, and lung damage, and so many different, new conditions may develop as well. And some people are really facing a challenge after recovering from COVID. Is that still a possibility with Omicron, given the fact that it hasn't been giving people really bad symptoms?
That is very true. I'm not so sure if I had the Alpha variant. I'm still thinking that it could be that Mexican. I mean, I think I got exposed in Corozal with that Mexican strain that was never labeled.
Yeah. But it was before Delta.
Way before Delta.
Yeah.
Way before vaccines too. And that's the reason why the term mild is, I think, misleading, because we don't know what long-term COVID is going to be with Omicron. But it is a public health measure, not in the future. I think it's a headache now, because people are starting to have fatigue, insomnia, anxiety, difficult to control high blood pressure. You know that there's now a published study that says that for children and adolescents who had COVID have a higher risk of developing diabetes type 1, your risk is increased just by the fact that you have had. So all those things are starting to now show up in health systems. So I think it is the now, because recall that you have had people who got infected 18 months ago that are now facing those situations. So that's why it cannot be considered mildly. What is also known is that how sick you get doesn't seem to correlate to long COVID. So that you may have patients who are severely ill in the hospital who go on to have a full recovery and have no lingering symptom, where you also have people who had asymptomatic COVID, who were diagnosed as part of contact tracing in the early stages of the disease, who go on to have long COVID. And I think what's starting to be reported is that the younger working population, those people 35 to 50, or maybe even in the upper 20s, are now having these symptoms such as fatigue. People are just saying they are fatigued. And the difficult thing there is that you may run all kinds of lab tests on persons and they're all going to be normal. And how do you explain at your workplace that your functionality is not going to be the same? And brain fog, there's a clear scientific explanation for that. I mean, the virus does have a particular affinity for brain cells and spinal cord cells. So that is the reason why people do have brain fog.
Well, Doc, there is so much more. That's a topic that we definitely have to explore further. Maybe we're giving people some sort of aha moment because they may be having suspicious symptoms after recovery and not know why. Dr. Manzanero, it's been great to have you, having you to break down some of this latest information. I do got to get in this question to understand what your latest status is. We were told you were meeting with the new minister, and there is an offer on the table.
Yes, we should meet later on this week again.
So you're considering staying with the Ministry of Health?
That's a consideration.
Okay. Anything else you'd like to share about your current status of employment?
Not right now, until I meet the minister again.
Okay. Well, I'll ask, and we appreciate you giving us that response. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
We hope that we've demystified a bit of what's happening with this new wave. Thank you.
Dr. Manza, thank you.
Thank you, folks.
All right.
We're about to take a break, and just before we come back, or when we come back, actually, we've got another heavy conversation to share with you. There's one thing to vie to actually be a minister, a minister in office, but there's another thing to having to want to be the leader of that party. Honorable Tracy Tega Panton will be sitting in with us when we come back.
This COVID update was brought to you by Foltech Systems, your technology center, where you'll come for the price, but stay for the service. Working off-site doesn't mean you have to be off your game. Studies have shown that simply adding a keyboard and mouse to your laptop increases productivity by 26%. Add a monitor and you'll be 35% more productive. At Foltech Systems, we have what you need to enhance your remote work or e-learning experience. With devices such as headsets, video conferencing monitors, webcams, keyboards, mice, docking stations, all with the brands you trust. Keep connected with collaboration tools like Microsoft 365 Suite and Kaspersky and perform efficiently no matter where you are. Foltech Systems, your technology center, where you'll come for the price, but stay for the service.
Who offers the best mobile experience in Belize? You don't know? Well, the truth is, Digi, our national telecom, of course. Digi has the largest mobile LTE advanced network with over 96% countrywide coverage, offering the fastest mobile LTE data speeds at the most affordable rates with mobile plans that fit your lifestyle. The truth is, Only Digi gives the ultimate mobile LTE experience. Visit your nearest Digi store to join the bigger, better network today. Digi, our national telecom. Visit us online at www.livedigi.com.
Connecting people. Creating memories.
Hey guys, so here we are at the Glaze Out Kitchen. I just prepared this amazing broccoli.
Sharing a smile. Next Gen, the ultimate digital experience.
I chose Galen because of its strong reputation.
Great scholarships.
I came because I can take all my classes online.
It is what I need to take me where I want to go.
To learn more about our various programs, visit our website at www.galen.edu.bz or email us at admissions@galen.edu.bz.
And come soar with the Galen Eagles.
And we're back.
Just like that, we're back. Welcome back. And we're moving now into our second segment for the morning. And this one is all about aspiring for the leadership of a party. Now we're talking here the UDP. In with us to talk about it is the Honorable Tracy Panton. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning. Good morning, Marlene.
I've
Good
got
morning,
to say,
Belize.
You're looking stunning. You're looking lovely. Love it. Tracy, there is the Mia Motleys of the world. There is a lot of strong women out there who actually are at the forefront of their country. They portray that strength that people actually want to see. Mm-hmm. We know that when it comes to women and strength, it is immense, but at the same time might not be recognizable. That's where I want to start with you. You're vying for the leader of your party. Mm-hmm. What's your feel like having to go on out there and try to get this one on the wraps?
I am confident that the time for women to step up to greater leadership is now. It's a time in our history. It's not only a time in Belize's history, but globally, it is time for women to have a greater voice, a greater say in how our countries are developed, how our countries grow, how our people are empowered. And I believe that with all my experiences in the private sector, in the public sector, in tourism, in trade, in investment, in entrepreneurship, the work I have done, the humanitarian work I've done with the Red Cross, all the things that I have done in my life has prepared me for this time and space. And you know what they say about the opportunity bus. When it stops, you choose to get on or you choose to stay off. Mm-hmm. And I have chosen to get on, not only for me, not only for women, but for this country, for all of Belize. You know, I would like to join my colleagues in the region to empower women, young people, to aspire to be greater than themselves, if you can. And here I am. I'm offering myself to that service.
Let me use your analogy of opportunity, because I think it's a great one. They also say opportunity rarely happens twice.
Indeed.
In this case, it did. Because it is the second time that there is a gap for leadership within the United Democratic Party. What's different this time? The last time you did not put yourself forward to take over the leadership. What's different now?
They say democracy is messy, right? And everyone knows the very difficult and tumultuous time we've had in the party in terms of dealing with that leadership issue. We had 2 conventions. We had a recall convention. It was divisive, in my view. It was vicious. And you have to know when the time is right. Timing in these decisions, I think, is important. And at that time, I felt like the bloodletting was not a place I wanted to be in. Okay. Because I thought it would create greater harm than good. I have never had a doubt that the time would be right for me. And I've always said that I'm waiting for the time that is right. And so I didn't think it would come this soon, but the fact that it has come, I don't intend to step away from giving it my best shot.
Was it a difficult decision to make?
Of course, the sheer magnitude of the job, right? The United Democratic Party is in a very difficult place. There's going to be a need for a lot of healing, a need for a lot of mending, a lot of rebuilding. That's not easy work. Okay. And then we have to look at where we are as a country and the hot topic issues in this country and how we in the opposition, as few as we are in number, is able to keep a robust voice on these issues. The fact that half of your population is looking to you to be that voice. So the magnitude makes it scary, overwhelming, but exciting at the same time. And I sincerely believe that I am ready to take on the mantle. If I didn't have that confidence in myself, it would be easy to step back. It is going to be a steep hill to climb in Belize.
And I want to dive right in there because it is a historic path you've chosen to take, which is to vie for the leadership of one of the mass parties in this country.
Yes.
2022, that's how long, over 40 years later. But my question is, we very often use the blanket statement of it's difficult for women in leadership and in politics. What's difficult about it? What is the distinct challenge that you face as a female candidate vying for leadership?
I think the evidence is there, right? So we have 4 women in the National Assembly. I mean, evidence is there how difficult it is. We are a very patriarchal society. That's real, and particularly in the area of political leadership. And so it's not an easy terrain to navigate, right? But somebody has to do it, and I feel that I am definitely going to give it my best shot.
Yeah.
It is said that. Sure.
I just want to press on that more, just because, especially as a woman as a leader, you have a soft-spoken approach.
Indeed.
And very often when people see leaders, they expect authoritative, abrasive, aggressive. Do you think that will be a challenge for you in being able to gain the confidence of your own delegates?
I can only be myself, and I can only be authentically myself. I think when you're not authentic, it shows. And the description that you just gave, Marlene, is a description how we see leaders indeed, but because of the patriarchal approach to political leadership in this country. And it's time for us, I know certainly for the young people, I've had so many young people, female and male young people saying, wow, like this really is a breath of fresh air because we can identify with what you're trying to do and with your approach. And so all I can be is myself. Not because I'm soft-spoken or not because I have compassion or means that I'm not strong in this. I'm strong in a different way, right? And women and men are different in that respect. Women are inherently nurturing. We bear children. But I think where we are as a society needs that kind of leadership at this time.
We're talking here right now about leader of your party, the UDP. What about the leader of the opposition in the House? Would you vie for that?
That's not a position you vie for. So normally, the leader of the party is once that person wins his or her seat is the leader of the opposition in the House.
Okay.
So with the recall convention, of course, there was a move by colleagues to remove the leader of the opposition during that whole process. The leader of the opposition in the House, if the leader of the party is unable to do it, normally it's the deputy leader who takes over, so that would be the Honorable Hugo Pat. If the Honorable Hugo Pat is unable to do it, then according to the UDP party constitution, it's the member who has had the longest terms in the House. So that would be me. And so there is a pecking order. Yeah, there's a pecking order.
Okay.
The Constitution of Belize, however, says the leader of opposition is the person that commands the majority of the confidence of the people on the opposition side. Okay. So when we had the removal of the leader of the opposition, it's because 3 or 5 of us signed a petition saying we no longer had that confidence. But I believe that we ought to follow the constitution of the party. And I am hopeful that since both my colleague and I are vying for the leadership of the party, that the Honorable Hugo Pat will hold the position of leader of the opposition in the House until that matter can be settled.
Now let's not neglect to point out all the power plays involved with politics, and especially with a leadership race.
Yes.
The current state, where you and the other representative, Honorable Shine Barrow, are putting yourself forward for leadership, people will be looking at the other elected representatives to see who they will support. There's a natural assumption that Honorable Denise Barrow is going to support her nephew. Do you have the support of the deputy leader at this point in time?
I have not asked him that question exactly because the central executive has to meet.
Okay.
And the central executive, what I'm hopeful of is that as a party, we are prepared to follow our constitution. And if we follow our constitution, we wouldn't have to put the deputy leader in that position.
Yeah.
And remember, he has to hold over, hold over as deputy party leader as well, right? He has a function in terms of keeping the whole together. So I am hoping that he would not put himself in that position, and I'm hoping as a party we follow our constitution. It is for him to make that decision. Certainly though, I am reaching out to all my colleagues, all 31 that make up the National Party Council. I'm reaching out to all those members who sit on the central executive so that I can garner their support in this leadership race.
So the only other representative then would be the current leader of the opposition, leader of the party, because he hasn't resigned as yet. And do you anticipate him endorsing you in your leadership bid? And how comfortable are you with that, given what has led to his fall from grace?
I hope he does. I hope all my colleagues recognize that there is a need for a sea change in leadership in the party. So I do hope that he does. I will say one thing about the former party leader, because he has made it absolutely crystal clear that he has tendered his resignation. It's a matter of formalizing a letter. I don't think
so for you, what the chairman said yesterday about not submitting the letter and possibly changing his mind,
no, I don't think
see that?
No, not at all. And I can say that categorically because when I spoke to him and about the situation, he was clear to me that he had to do what was right for the party, that he could not ask the party to bear that kind of burden on his behalf. So I don't at all think that he's going to play games. That it wouldn't be prudent for him because there's a clear consensus in the party that he had to resign. There was no other decision but for him to resign. So I really, it's a matter of getting it done, but I really don't think there's a concern.
So you need to garner...
But going back to that original question though, do you have any reservations about his support given the pattern of behavior that led to his resignation?
To support my leadership, if I have any reservation, I don't have any reservation for any of my colleagues supporting me. Include Patrick Farber is a member of the United Democratic Party. He is a member of the National Assembly. He sits as the representative for Collett. I don't see that changing in this term. And I would be foolhardy if I didn't ask for his support. I do not condone what Patrick Faber has done. There has to be a clear code of conduct in our party. There has to be a clear code of conduct in the National Assembly that affects all parliamentarians. There has to be a zero tolerance policy on these issues. So I do not support the circumstances, and I don't know all the details, and I don't need to know all the details. There is no way he could serve in the capacity of party leader. When you sit in that position, your behavior and character has to be beyond reproach. The expectations are high because you are not only inspiring a mass party, but you will have an impact on the wider population. So, no, he has to go. But I hope that he gets this kind of support he needs to deal with the issues he has, and he has indicated that that is what he intends to do. And I think good can come of it. With every dark cloud, there's a silver lining, and I am hoping that we can use this situation to have greater advocacy, to champion for to seek greater laws that support those who become victims of any kind of domestic violence or gender-based violence or intimate partner violence, whatever it is. There should be a zero tolerance policy from all of us.
Honorable Panton, do you think that perhaps the party turned a blind eye on this issue too often?
In hindsight, we could say that when the last incident occurred, the party should have acted differently, should not have been as compassionate as we were as a party. But I want you to put that in context of all that we had been through. We were bloodletting, and at that time the party leader had demonstrated and had indicated that he was seeking the help that he needed. And the organs of the party met and decided that we will support him in this process, but that it could not happen again. It could not happen again. We find ourselves where we are, and so we have to move forward. He made the right decision for the party. He made the right decision for himself. I think it's time for us to move on and to do what is right in support of rebuilding this party from strength to strength.
Was there any, as far as you know, any conditionality given for the resignation?
No. Conditionality in what respect?
By Honorable Faber, that he would resign if you were endorsed.
Yeah. No. Listen, it was clear that that decision had to be taken. You don't negotiate that. It's untenable, right? I want to be clear, because whenever I say things that may come across as being compassionate in this situation, it's seen as that you're condoning it. As a party, personally, we cannot condone that kind of behavior. So there would have been no need to negotiate that kind of thing. I would like to become the leader of the United Democratic Party. I would like to become the first female Prime Minister of Belize. I want to do that on my own merit.
So being the leader of the United Democratic Party, you must enjoy the votes from the delegates. And there are over 500 delegates within the organization. Now, there are also heavy hitters who have got a lot of these people under their arms as well. And when it comes to endorsements, this is definitely one of these ways that we know you could vie or you could come out on top. We also got to understand that your colleague, your party colleague, Shine Barra, is actually out and running already. Do you have the support of heavy hitters like John Saldivar? Yes or no?
I have a meeting scheduled with John Saldivar and with his other colleagues who make up this Caucus for Change. My intention, so let me be clear. I did not declare my candidacy until I was absolutely sure what the party leader's decision was going to be. I felt that we needed to allow that process to come to a natural end. There is, 576 delegates that will make the decision. I will need the support of my colleagues. I will need the support of their delegates. I will need the support of the Central Executive Committee to become the leader of the United Democratic Party. It is going to be my job between now and March 27th, when that convention is going to be held, to reach out to my colleagues and to make my case, to tell them to share with them how I think we can rebuild this party to be as inclusive as possible, all embracing as possible, because we need as all hands on deck if the United Democratic Party is going to be viable, if the United Democratic Party will be able to regain the trust and confidence of the Belizean people. It really is going to take a Herculean effort. I am prepared to lead that effort, and I believe that based on what my sense is in terms of the kind of public support for woman leader of the UDP, I am hopeful that I can deliver in the convention. It's really up to the delegates of the United Democratic Party, and so I will be spending the next 2 months or so speaking with every delegate that I can personally meet.
You did stick a pin on March 23rd, so now we know that's the March 23rd. You mentioned
27th.
March 27th.
That has been the date proposed.
Okay.
For a convention. I saw it on one of the news outlets last night. But the Central Executive is going to be meeting, I think, the first week of February. And at that time, we will determine whether that date is really the date. We have to have this convention within 3 months of the party leader's resignation. So he resigns on the 31st, and then 3 months later, the convention must be held, the emergency convention.
You did an interview yesterday, and you did mention that it is a dirty game having to vie for minister, for the position of minister, but it's actually an even more uphill battle to actually vie for leadership within your own party. How do you feel about that, and what would you do to try and eradicate such thing? Because that's a dirty game.
Well, you know, they say that it's a numbers game, right? So I have myself, I have the deputy leader of the party, the Honorable Bev Williams, sits on the executive of the party. There are two of us, two females that sit on the executive of the party. One, Sister B, of course, but she doesn't get involved in party affairs. So we have to develop a critical mass of women in leadership in this country. I think the internal hurdles for me will be the most difficult, right? Out of 31 seats, there are 2 of us female who have been successful in holding on to our constituencies. But it's not an impossible task. And while we spend a lot of time looking at women in leadership, I think that the qualities I bring to the table is good leadership qualities, period, right? And while I do feel I have an obligation and duty to encourage more women to be active and more women to take on leadership roles in this party, I also have a duty and obligation and responsibility to my male colleagues to be able to work with them so we can achieve the goals and objectives we set for ourselves and for the party and for the people of Belize.
You mentioned yourself, you know, internal races are, I would imagine, more challenging than going against the opposite, mass party. Because internally, people will know weaknesses. And when you're gearing up for a race like this, they know exactly where to hit. For people who are die-hard UDP supporters, they may say, how will we vote for Tracy Panton as our leader, given the fact that she has a history with the People's United Party? How do you respond to that?
The great Philip Golson was not originally a member of the United Democratic Party. He was part of the movement with George Price. He comes out of, for lack of a better term, a PUP camp. Philip Goldson is one of our national heroes in this country. And I think it adds value, quite frankly, for a mass party to have someone like me who has worked in both administrations and have developed relationships throughout this country beyond a political reference point. It can only add value. And I made a decision that I would run under the umbrella of the United Democratic Party, but I have no illusions. Belize is first for me, because we need to continue to grow and develop this country. We are in very, very difficult times. And so we have to have a strong democracy, we have to have a strong voice, and we have to be able to bring up or rise up along with us those who do not have a voice, those who do not have a seat at the table. And when you look at the landscape, women and young people are the most marginalized. It is time for us to make a difference. And I think it will speak volumes of the maturity of the United Democratic Party and our own political system in supporting a woman for leader.
Now, the obvious race right now, as of today, is between you and Honorable Champaro. What are your thoughts on what this race to the convention will look like?
I am focused on my campaign. I will be focused on meeting people, on sharing my ideas with them, listening, most importantly, listening to the concerns of our party supporters, what they want to see us do as a mass party in terms of our rebuilding efforts. Because collectively, we have a shared vision, right? And it's not hard, it's not rocket science. We want to be the next government in 2025. That means we need to take specific steps to get there. And I want to hear what people think, how we should get there, what strategies they believe that we employ, and then we will work together as a team to get it done. That's my hope.
Do you think it's too soon for him to vie for the post of leadership? He's only been a representative for a bit over a year.
I think that decision is really a very personal one. As you said, Marlene, when the obvious opportunity presented itself to me some months ago, I did not feel at the time that it was right for me. And so I decided not to take up the mantle at that time. And obviously, my colleague believes that he this time is right for him, and I don't fault him for that. Democracy is a very important fundamental value of the United Democratic Party, and so he has the right to offer himself for any position with the party that he sees fit.
So let's talk about, I mean, this is going to be your campaign. I think you very clearly said moving forward, how you plan to restore the strength of the United Democratic Party. You use the term bloodletting. It's been hemorrhaging credibility because of the leadership conventions, the challenges in leadership. You have a representative. You're such a small opposition, and one representative does not attend House meetings.
Indeed.
So there are a lot of challenges to overcome.
Yes.
What do you expect to commit to the delegates of the UDP to convince them that you can be the person to turn it around?
That I am going to do everything I humanly can to ensure that we have, we move forward with a united voice, that we take the time that is required to listen, to truly listen. This is not about a power play for me.
Yeah.
That's not it. That we have to listen to what the people of Belize are saying. We have to listen to what our party supporters are saying. And then how do we take all those ideas? How do we become as inclusive as possible and chart a way forward for this country and for ourselves that will bring benefit to the greater good? That's my message. I believe I have the ability to build that consensus. I believe I have the ability of bringing people together. I have had years of experience in building things from scratch. We can start with tourism. That's 30 years. Where we are in tourism now is not an overnight success. A lot of work went in. I used to work 16 hours a day. And so I have that experience, and I hope to bring that experience to what we need to do in the United Democratic Party.
All right.
So you hit the campaign trail now to visit all the delegates?
I'm on the campaign trail. I'm on the campaign trail, yes.
Yeah, so they got to see it all over the country at this point. Any final message?
Well, I just want to thank you, and I want to thank particularly the United Democratic Party National Organization for Women, who with almost unanimously, I think unanimously, unwaveringly, have provided their support for me. I think it's important. It's an important message for us to send. I'd like to thank the hundreds of young women and young boys, young men who have sent me so many messages over the last few days. All the women in this country who have reached out to me, and they're women from who you would straddle both political parties, who feels that the time has come for women to take a greater role in the leadership of this country. I want to thank them for their words of encouragement and support and their prayers, a lot of prayers that have been sent my way. It means a lot to me. It gives me the courage and to continue to do what I know is going to be Herculean task. But I want them to know that their prayers and their love and their support is the thing that's going to carry me through this very important journey.
Wow. I tell you what, it's so nice to be visited by you.
Thank you.
Hearing the strength that you've got and the fact that you want to lead. Honorable Tracy Panton, thank you for visiting us this morning.
Thank you for
And here's to
having
wishing
me.
you all the best.
Thank you.
All right. We're about to take a break, and when we come back, 40 years and 100 years. Who? Greece Kennedy Belize Limited. That's right. They'll be in to talk to us about their anniversary and what they've got on special. So stay with us. We'll be back.
Hello, friends. This is Dr. Bob Roberts with another 60-second sermon from God's Word. The Bible says, "In this I pray, that your love may abound yet more and more in knowledge and in all judgment, that you may approve things that are excellent, that you may be sincere and without offense till the day of Christ." Some of the greatest lessons I've learned while attending Southwestern Baptist Theological Seminary in Fort Worth was from the fellow pastors I rode 75 miles with each day from Corsicana, Texas. We enjoyed one another and harassed one another unbearably. One day as we arrived at school and got out of the car, I was walking behind a friend when I noticed he was limping and stumbling some. Jokingly, I said, "Clarence, can you walk straight?" He turned around and was furious with me. I apologized quickly, assuring him I was only joking. He hesitantly accepted my apology, but I knew I'd hurt him deeply. Later that morning, I was in the library studying when he sought me out. He said, "Brother Bob, I want to apologize for my behavior this morning. I know you did not know it, but I had polio when I was a child, and all my life boys and girls have laughed at the way I walk. My heart was broken. I apologized again and again, but learned one of the greatest lessons of my life. I learned that day to be careful about what you think and say to people you do not know or understand. To me, the principle is set forth so clearly in Philippians, where the Apostle Paul prays that their love would be according to knowledge. This is a love that never fails. Today's 60-second sermon has been presented by Christian Foundations of Faith in cooperation with the Baptist churches in your area.
It's a fact that your credit lasts longer when using Smart. During these times, we're all trying to find ways to cut costs and save the little resources we have. With Smart, it's easy to do that. It's a fact that with Smart, your credit lasts longer. You can call Smart to Smart and Smart to Digi using your promo credit, while with the other guy, you can only call OnNet. Digi, or BTL numbers. What does this mean? You get to call any national number using your promo credit. Your promo credit is free, so that call is also free. Know your facts. Don't be tricked by the other guy. Be smart and save your dollars.
Imagine going through your entire day without the burden and risk of carrying cash on you. Belize's shift to digital wallets has begun. With eCash, we can now skip the cash when collecting money or paying for our essentials, all while using a fast, easy, and secure platform. Simply add funds to your wallet via bank transfer or at an agent, and you're good to go. You will be able to make quick, easy payments simply by scanning QR codes. And best of all, it all happens just like that. Payments are as easy as clicking a link online or scanning a QR code. Download the eCash app from the Google Play and Apple App Store today and take your first step into a cashless lifestyle. The future is here with eCash. For more information, visit www.e-cash.com or contact us via WhatsApp at 613-0257 to find out more.
If you're looking for low-cost television advertising, have we got a deal for you? Advertise on Channel 5's Daily Classifieds. Channel 5's Daily Classifieds is one of the most effective methods for introducing yourself and your business to the community. Use our Daily Classifieds to recruit employees, promote specials, promote your products or services, promote a business opportunity, increase traffic to your website, and advertise items you have for sale. Let us help you save valuable time and money. Call us today at 223-0146 or visit us at our offices on Pony Drive to discuss how we can help your business grow affordably. Channel 5's Daily Classifieds. Advertise today.
When someone you love becomes a memory, the memory becomes a treasure. Channel 5 introduces the Daily Obituaries. The Daily Obituaries will broadcast all death and funeral announcements and memorials to honor your loved one's life and memories. The Daily Obituaries airs on Channel 5 prior to the evening newscast, with subsequent repeats at 10 p.m. and 12 noon the following day. It will also be placed online on our social media platforms, all for a standard package fee. Celebrate their lives and memories with Channel 5's Daily Obituaries. Honor in life and reverence in death.
Whether you're at home, on the road, at work, or at school, if you see news happening or suspect that something might be up, call or text the Channel 5 News Belize tip line at 672-5555. You don't have to give us your name, just give us the tip. That's 672-5555. Call or text us so we can check it out.
Yeah, welcome back. Welcome back to Open Your Eyes. We're now moving into our third segment for the morning. Now, this one surrounds this company has been in this country for over 40 years, and Grace Kennedy celebrating the 40th anniversary in Belize, but 100th anniversary for Grace Kennedy Group. In with us to talk about it, Melanie Cook, who is the Senior Brand Manager for Grace Kennedy Belize Limited, and also Luis Ugarte, who is a Sales and Customer Service Manager at Grace Kennedy Belize Limited. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning, Marlene. Good morning, Jan.
Yeah.
All right.
You know they color coordinated yesterday, last night or something like that. Black. things that happen.
All that matters was that big 40 on their chest, right? That's what was necessary.
So let's get on into it. It's definitely a momentous occasion. It's one to celebrate indeed. 100 years of the company on a whole worldwide.
That's right.
And 40 years in Belize. Let's talk about that. 40 years in Belize.
Yeah, well, it's a milestone for us. No, obviously, we are very pleased, and that's why we are here today to celebrate with our viewers, with our customers and consumers. That thanks to them, Grace Kennedy has been able to be in Belize for the last 40 years. No?
Yeah.
And if you allow me very briefly, I will tell you how Grace Kennedy came about to be in Belize. Right. So 40 years ago, the then Prime Minister of the country, the Honorable George Kittle Price, made an invitation to the then CEO of Grace Kennedy, Mr. Carlton Alexander, to come and set up a business in Belize, right? Importantly to note as well is that at that time, a Belizean person was the CFO of the Grace Kennedy Group at that time.
Wow.
And he later became the CEO of Grace Kennedy. His name is Rafael Diaz. He's from the Cayo district. So he was very instrumental in making sure that Grace Kennedy come and set up shop in Belize. No? So that happened 40 years ago, and thanks to the efforts of Mr. Diaz and all the people at Grace Kennedy at that time, is that we are here celebrating with everyone this anniversary.
That's serious information.
That looks so surprised, Lou.
No, because we're Belizean.
Well, you know we love celebrate Belizeans.
Yeah, of course. So you know, we're so grateful to know that a Belizean is actually the CFO of this prestigious company here. But let's talk about the impact you guys are actually making in the country after these 40 years. What's that like for you?
Well, it's been obviously a long journey, a very rewarding one for that matter. No? We are very much involved in working with our businesses in Belize.
Yeah.
Back in the days, we were very much involved in the exportation of products. We did a lot of citrus products, a lot of marine products.
Yeah.
We did pineapples, black-eyed peas, you name it, anything that we could have put our hands on, we did. No? So obviously we became very much in... Mel, it had to be you, Mel.
Wait.
No.
Who is that person there?
That was me back in the days.
That's 100 years ago?
Huh?
That's 100 years ago?
It looks that way.
This is great.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, and I even lose my
You were saying that you try find all the products in Belize.
Yeah, so we try to promote and look for opportunities for local Belizean businesses outside, because we do have a network. We are part of a larger organization, which objective is become a global consumer group in the near future. No?
Yeah.
So, but we are extremely glad to be here, and we're willing to work with our local Belizean business people to promote business.
I'm so glad you said that, Luz, because I think that that's the part of what Grace does that a lot of people don't know.
Right.
They think of the importation of products, but actually you work with Belizean manufacturers as well and export under the Grace brand.
No export at this time.
At this point, we don't, but there are opportunities.
Yes.
But we do work with local manufacturers, and some of our products are actually manufactured locally under our Grace brand. No?
Yeah.
And I can tell you about a couple of them. Viniga is one of them that it's locally manufactured and bottled. And also we had a relationship with a pepper sauce. We used to sell Grace Habanero pepper sauce that was locally produced and bottled. And we have had a long-lasting relationship with Rose's Pepper Products.
Oh, wow.
Actually, the former owner of Rose's Pepper Product, Mr. Espat, Robert Espat, was the one who started the joint venture with Grace Kennedy and Rose's at that time.
Yeah.
So actually it started as a joint venture. In 2012, we became a fully owned subsidiary of Grace Kennedy. But we started with Rose's, hence the long-lasting relationship. Up to now, we still distribute those products.
Yeah. And the line has increased so much over those years. I always say that I remember Grace, buy your tomato ketchup commercial. Like, that will be something I will sing, and once I start singing it, it's stuck. I can see it, I can feel it, because I remember watching Channel 5 and seeing that ad. And so it's part of what we grew up as well knowing.
Definitely. And like Lois mentioned, 40 years ago, it's a completely different company we're looking at presently. 40 years ago, we were only distributing, I think it was about 10 different products. Some of those products are still with us, our Viennas, our Roma cocoa powder, and come now 2022, at 40 years, we're at almost over 500 products that we're distributing. Wow. So look at 10 products 40 years ago compared to over 500 products now in 2022. We have come a long way.
So pop quiz time, what were the first 10?
What is that?
Come on,
what were the first 10?
Vienna's, Roma cocoa, ketchup, help me out, Lou.
Well, we had, I don't know if you recall, back in the days, Quenchade.
Quenchade,
yes. Oh my God. Sardines, mackerel, Viennas, ketchup. I can remember, no? I wasn't around them, but I know we started with 5 products in one container.
We have to say hot ketchup and regular ketchup.
Hot ketchup, regular ketchup. Sardines, hot sardines, regular.
Okay, we're about 9 now, yeah? But from 10
to over 500.
Over 500 products.
Wow.
Okay.
And every week, every other week, there is a new product that you guys actually showcase when it comes to being inside the kitchen. Who come up with a recipe for Chulu?
We have a group of, we have a team that deals with that.
That we never get invited to.
How come? Why we can't do it that kitchen?
Well, we can look at that as an option, probably have a show, from our offices. I think it's going to be a great experience. Yes. No? But there is a team that deals with developing those recipes. Also, we have gotten many recipes from our customers and consumers. Yeah. We have, I believe, if not the largest, the larger repertoire or of recipes.
Yeah. And there's also the Belize Hospital Auxiliary Cookbook that features our Grace products in there as well. I'm not sure how many recipes are in there, but there's quite a number of recipes. Yeah. And now and then we would revert back to that book, and then see what we're able to capture from there. We also welcome the opportunity for new upcoming chefs. Yeah. If they want to get that opportunity in the spotlight to be able to work with us, give us a call. We are welcome to that. And if you're just somebody that you feel that you have mastered the kitchen at home, feel free to contact us as well. Yeah. Because the idea is not necessarily to just showcase one individual, but to give each and every person that they feel have some kind of cooking skills, that opportunity. So you don't have to be a professional chef to be in our kitchen. Just that you have to use Grace products.
Easy.
Yeah. So and the idea is for you to do something at home, to make something at home.
Right.
So how do you commemorate 40 years?
Exactly.
Sleepless nights. But it has been a really work. A lot of work in the pipeline. There's not much that we can do considering the situation that we're currently faced with. Yeah. But the idea was to have that big shebang, a big carnival on the street side, and have all these market sales that people are so much anticipating. But of course, we have to look at the reality that we're living in. Yeah. And our biggest medium right now is social media. So we're trying to push that as much as possible. And what we have done is that we started the 12th of February, which is actually our anniversary date. And we're going to the 12th of January, which was actually our anniversary date. And we go to the 14th of February, which is our 100th anniversary.
Oh, so what we do,
so what we're doing is that it's going to be 40 days of giveaways. So we started, like I said, from the 12th of January. So every day somebody is able to win something on our Facebook page.
And what are you giving away?
We're giving away tokens, like what I brought for you guys today.
Are you kidding?
Yeah.
Devon biscuit. Yeah.
No, there's no biscuit.
I was reading. Wow. Mel tried to calm down my expectations.
Quick. So we have tokens. Wow. We have different merch. You could show her again.
There's that tonic.
What
I'm reading first is that tonic wine, a Mandingo tonic wine. Okay. So these are some nice.
Oh, this is
all
cool.
Right.
Yeah.
For the coffee lover and all of us.
I know,
right?
Yeah.
So these are some of the tokens that people will be able to
win on
online.
our Facebook page.
This
so
is
we
lovely.
have caps, we have shirts, pens, pencils, mouse pads, key rings. And guys, we try to make the questions so easy that people are able to win, because we don't want to have 2023 come around and we still have these stuff sitting there. Right? So we also have different products that we're featuring, and come with the 100th anniversary, we're also going to brand some of our products with the 100th anniversary logo on it as well.
That's nice.
So it's going to be a full year of activities, a full year of festivities for Grace Kennedy, and likewise Grace Kennedy Belize.
There's always a momentous occasion with this brand, with this company. And you've got this going on now since the 12th of January up until anniversary
the
day,
14th,
until the 14th of February.
Yes.
People are going to win. So what is it like? You just go on the Facebook.
You go on the Facebook page. Every day it's a different trivia question. And what we try to do is that we try to center it around the products that we distribute.
Yeah.
So it's not only the Grace brand that we're looking at. We're looking at our other strategic
brands
partners.
as well. Yeah.
Devon, like Marlene mentioned earlier.
Clearly, my sweet tooth is like very
We have Devon, we have a newbie in the market, which is our Charles chocolate. We featured that last Valentine. It's still here. Valentine is coming up again. Be sure to get your Charles chocolate to go with your Devon biscuit. We have our beverage line, Carib, Mackinson Stag, Royal Stout. We have Chubby, Fruta. So there's a lot that we have to feature. And 40 days is actually not enough.
That's to leave it, huh?
But you go online, you answer the trivia question, you make your comment, and it's there.
Bam.
So what are some of what you would say your most successful or prominent products in the country, in Belize?
Well, every Belizean like rice and beans. And the only thing that makes magic in rice and beans is Grace coconut milk powder. So, that is our, like Louis will call it, bread and butter.
That's our number one product.
And I love that's the individual packets, right?
Yes.
That makes it so much easier.
And it's featured in 3 different SKUs. We have the 25 gram, the 50 gram, and the 1 kilogram.
Okay.
So if you're just a couple starting out, start at the 25 gram. And then, when the kids come along, you move up to the 50 gram. And if you decide to open a restaurant, then you go to the 1 kilo.
I'm stuck at packet level for the rest of my life. But
I'm stuck on going to bite.
And what about the rest of the region for other Grace products? What are some of the other ones that are really popular?
Here in Belize?
No, outside
of Belize. Well, different market, it has its own different stuff. No, but we have the coconut products that cut across markets, because we know all of us love the coconut teas, coconut oil, coconut milk, coconut water. So those basically cut across, and they have become mainstream in Canada, the USA, and the UK. And by the way, for those of you who do not know, Grace Kennedy is, we are in about 60 different countries around the world.
Wow.
We have fully owned subsidiaries in the UK, and then that subsidiary also services Europe and parts of Africa. We have a fully owned subsidiary in Canada as well.
Wow.
In the US, in the East Coast mainly, and Belize. So, and obviously motherland Jamaica, that's where we are very strong.
And I guess all Caribbean countries.
All Caribbean countries, we work through distributors. We don't have a fully owned subsidiaries, but we work through distributors. We are in all the Caribbean islands.
Wow.
And the funny thing about it, Jan and Marlene, is that on Monday we started off with a church service, and we had blessings from Pastor Ruth Pipersburg. And she mentioned to us that recently she visited the US, walking through the supermarket aisle, she saw Grace and she said she got so excited. Oh my goodness, Grace. And she said it was like she took total ownership of it because she felt like, you know, I was supporting Grace Kennedy back home even though I was, you know, in the States visiting. And she said she got so excited when she saw it on the shelf in the supermarket. And I think it gives you that sense of what would you call it? That sense of, like she rightfully said, connection. You know, and
you know how much family must have called and say, "Hey, you go get Grace."
You know, when you went to church, I thought you would have said, "You got Grace Communion." Like what?
No, it actually put some relief on me because you know you have friends in the US and they're like, send me this, send me that, and then you have to put these little things together. So now when I'm traveling, they're like, you don't have to bring salad cream. I find that you don't have to bring coconut powder. I find that now, you know. So it gives you that sense of relief that now people are able to access Grace products, you know, worldwide.
Lovely, lovely.
And how do people, if somebody feels that they have a product that would fit within Grace's line, how do they make that approach to you?
Well, there are different ways how you can approach us. Obviously, an email is the preferred medium of communication because you can share all your information in a more structured manner.
Okay.
Obviously, we are open to look at opportunities with anybody here in Belize, but it has to make sense. It has to make sense for them, and it has to make sense for us.
For you.
No, so obviously you have an idea, you have a product you're doing, John. You can call me. We can sit down. Boy, does this make sense for both of us? And then we move on. If it doesn't, then well, we left the door open for later, right?
Yeah.
That's how we operate.
And you know, it's not all about business. There's always that community aspect of it as well, in terms of us giving back to the community. You know, last October we did 685 goodie bags to the members of the Carl Hushman Memorial Hospital.
Staff. I love
the entire
that.
staff.
The whole staff.
It was, we ensured that we captured every single person across the board.
Beautiful.
So there was not one person that was left out, and that was a really exciting experience for us because we ensured that we got full participation from the staff. You know, people were there packing these bags and they were like, Miss Mills, 685 bags, when we are done.
That's true.
You know, but we were able to do it, you know, because it's not only packing the bags, but where are we going to store them and those sort of things. But it was a real blessing. Especially when you saw the comments coming in from these people saying just a simple thank you, you know, and it does go a long way. We also try to identify different families throughout the country, and what we do is that we provide them with a little grocery bag. So if you know maybe an individual that would really need a package at that moment in time, you can always reach out to us and say, you know what, Miss Mel, my neighbor know they do too good. You could try help out with one lead bag. So those are the little opportunities that we try to reach out to the communities. We try to donate as much as we can to different organizations.
But I feel that has always been the mantra of this company. I could clearly see that. So while that has been, what do you guys foresee to be next? I mean, 40 years, what's coming on stream?
Well, we expect the company to be here for the next 40 years. I might not be around, obviously, and Mel might not be, you might not be around. But we believe that. But we believe that we have built a strong foundation, and that whosoever come after us will be able to continue doing what we are doing. No? Giving back to the community will not change. That can only improve, because that's where it comes from, right? So we have to give back. We are committed. There is no other way but giving back to the community, because that's where we get it from. No? So we expect that to continue and get bigger and better as we move along.
All right.
And I'm glad you spoke about your KHMH goodie baskets, because you have. Is it still ongoing? You had your Grace Cares program at one point.
Yes, we still have a little. what would I say, club?
Yeah,
we have a little club within Grace Kennedy, which is our We Care club. And what We Care does is that we try to identify different community projects that we can do. Right now, that club has a relationship with the preschool in Buttonwood Bay, in Belama, Stepping Stones Preschool. And what we try to do is that we try to give them a monthly donation.
How nice.
We participate in different activities when we could have, which would have been like their sports day, children's rally, and those sort of things. We try to participate and be there with them, so the staff would go along and we distribute, we play games and stuff like that with them. So we try to identify different organizations. We have a very good relationship with Salvation Army as well.
Nice.
Unfortunately, we haven't been able to do it for the past 2 years, but what we normally do is that we normally cater an entire Christmas dinner for the school. So we would be there helping to distribute, take goodie bags and refreshments for them, and the staff would come and we package each classroom's goodies and food, and we take it to them. And then we also have the Christmas show that they feature at Holy Redeemer on a yearly basis. Yes.
Yeah.
So those are the relationships that we try to have with different organizations and likewise schools through the We Care Club.
All right, I got the real hard question now, and you have to answer it.
Why? So you hear you direct it to me.
Okay, I should try to wiggle out.
I might have a whole Louis hard.
Favorite Grace product?
My favorite Grace product? One. I love our fish and meat sauce. I just think it is the most tasty, creative, exciting product that Grace Kennedy.
Fish and meat.
Yes, our fish and meat sauce. That is my favorite Grace product. And the reason for that is that it not only goes well with meat, but it makes an excellent michelada. Sorry.
Now we tell. Now you have, because I was like, oh, that's too much cooking. But now you got me.
Yeah, I went on the creative side and I tried it in a michelada, and it makes a hell of a good michelada. So it's not only good for fish and meat, but
good.
Michelada too.
Yes.
And Master Chef Luis.
Yes.
Well, I have to say the coffee.
Oh.
And I'm not biased, but I love coffee, and it's an exact product. I believe all of our products are good. Ketchup is another one that stands out to me. It's a very unique product with a different taste profile than what you can find in the market. The Viennas, I mean, all of these products have become
I should have directed it to him. Only one. So which flavor coffee do you drink?
The regular.
The regular.
I'm a regular guy.
Marlene loves the vanilla, by the way.
I do like that.
I don't know, but if you know, but I voice the ad for the coffee.
Okay.
Oh yes, I
so every time, most of the time I have coffee in my vehicle. So wherever I go, if I go to a meeting, I notice that I have to bring some bottles of coffee here.
Yeah.
But whenever I go to a meeting and I see there is no Grace coffee, I will leave a bottle. Well, back in the days when you used to go to meetings, right?
Yeah.
And then you get people used to it. It's an excellent product.
All right. Well, congratulations on your 40th, and thank you for coming in. Anything else you'd like to share with?
Well, I'm
I
not
do
sure
think
if
we
we
got
have
a little surprise for you. Rick, we have it ready? All right.
Got it?
So, you know, we recently celebrated an anniversary too, and so we had to dig up in our archives, and we found some gems.
Oh
so
my.
let's see if we really see the flashback here, if you can remember this one, right?
Let's do it.
Let's see it, Ricky.
I like a big hamburger. It's ready to make no ketchup. It's chips and chicken and chips and almost anything else but chips. Macaroni, rice and peas, you lick your lips. Got the ketchup, please. Tomato ketchup. Tomato ketchup. Make a meal that's filled and all you need to go. Tomato ketchup.
also now available.
There you have it, right?
Well, what we did last year is that same ad with the Grace tomato ketchup, they did a shuffle to it. So the intro for the ad starts with that. And then it goes, you know, then they kind of hype it up, Grace tomato ketchup.
So there's a modern song. All right. So we just figured we'd give you that throwback on your anniversary.
We could do surprise Stan. I don't feel on could bring surprise.
But it's great having you. And we do hope that people join in on the celebration. Once again, it's 40 days of giveaways.
Yeah. That's right.
To celebrate from the 40th anniversary in Belize to the 100th anniversary of Grace Kennedy Group.
All right. Thank you guys for coming in, man. That was excellent. Thank you.
Thank you, John and Marlene.
You all the best.
Having us.
Thank you.
All right, so we're going to take our final break of the morning, and when we come back, we'll be wrapping things up. Stay with us. We will be right back.
Keep your business running efficiently with computer products and accessories from Cellular World. We are the largest electronics stores in Belize, providing business solutions from trusted brands including Dell, HP, Lenovo, and Samsung, just to name a few. Our range of business PCs and electronics include desktop computers, laptops, desktop monitors, mouses, battery backups, smart TVs, and computer accessories that are backed up by warranties to keep your business always running smoothly. Call or visit us at any of our 5 Cellular World locations in Belize City, Belmopan, or San Pedro, and let our knowledgeable team help you to find the right solutions. Cellular World, low prices, more choices.
It's almost lunchtime and Alice is getting hungry and forgot to bring cash. She remembers that eCash now has a geolocation feature in which she can easily view the eCash merchants near her, especially restaurants. Her co-workers also ask her to order food for them.
Chicken chow mein, please, and a Coke.
The merchant sends her the payment link. She taps confirm, and within a few minutes, her food is delivered. Alice then views her transaction history and taps on the transaction recently made. Then taps the split the bill button where she selects the unevenly option and moves the bar to the desired amount per person. The request is then sent to her friends. Her colleagues accept the request and are ready to enjoy their meals. Geolocation and splitting the bill via eCash make Alice's life a whole lot easier.
When something is good and you can save, that makes it even better. Like this guy, he buys Flex bundles using his promo credit. No worries when his primary credit is finished. He gets talk, text, and data for free. Or her, she calls her family internationally with her promo credit. And with data packages so affordable, she even does video calls. Smart continues to offer great deals and affordable promotions. As a small business owner, she saves when she uses her promo credit to call the other guys. All Smart customers enjoy more triple days and knowing they can use their promo credit, which just lasts longer. Smart, bringing people together.
We're back.
Just like that, we're back indeed. I still got time in my mask. Oh my
You can keep it on. That's fine. That's fine. But we are distanced. So that's,
we're distanced.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, it was a very fun morning. We had some great conversations this morning. Of course, we want to say a big congratulations to Grace as well for their 40 years of service in Belize. Big congratulations to them. And we're so thankful that over the past umpteen years, or 13 years? Since we started OIE.
Yeah, we've been doing Grace and You.
We've been doing Grace and You, and they've been with us for that amount of time
with
as well.
With our special cooking show.
Great relationship. Really enjoy it. Really love what they cook every
I've learned.
other week.
I can school people on Grace products now after Grace and You for so long. But it is, you know, we just started the commemoration of our 30th, and so I know it's a really big deal when you're able to celebrate these big anniversaries. They're at their 40th locally and 100th. For the Grace Kennedy Group. So congratulations to them. And you can join in the fun by following them on Facebook and taking advantage of some of those giveaways.
Indeed. But we've got to go. If you've got any questions, any concerns at all, you could always drop us a line at oye@channel5belize.com.
Find us on Facebook at Open Your Eyes BZ and on Instagram at OYEBelize.
Then you can join us again tomorrow morning when you open your eyes.
To start your morning right.
And as per usual, keep your eyes, your minds,
and your hearts open. We'll see you soon. Enjoy your day, Belize.
Open Your Eyes was brought to you by the Belize Bank. Our country, your bank.